mentioned a windowless van on the show on Monday, and way too many of you said, windowless van? You're leaning out a window. Windowless vans have driver's side windows. They have windshields, too. I mean, look, just because they're the kidnapper's car of choice doesn't mean they're going to ignore safety. The plural of ninja is not ninja, it is ninja bricks. Guys, someone wrote in and said, you should start having each of these start previously on corrections. That would then show clips of everything I would reference. You know, and then that, you know, ninja bricks joke would have done, I don't know, 1.1 times better. But my question is, like, does that, I don't know, mess with the purity of corrections, you know? If we're holding people's hands previously on. Personally, when I love a show, I'm insulted that they think I need a previously on. Like, I love Andor, and I always skip previously on Andor. Now, do I have to pause the show 15 times to go to Wikipedia to look up who everybody is? Sure, but that's on me. So I just don't think, you know, we need a previously on. Like, also, you know, our characters, you know, have easier names to keep track of than Andor, you know. We got Buck and 6 mics. You know, we don't have like a grip named Garfarbian Rax. I would say Baze is kind of a Star Wars-y name. But Baze, of course, is a Star Trek guy. Or at least I assume he's a Star Trek guy because every time he walks into a writer's meeting, he says, "Set your Bazers to fun." And they go, pew, 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 pew. You know Baze is in the building when it's like, pew, 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 pew. He was in such a good mood today. He came back from the doctor and he was like, "It's official, they found a pulse." So we're not gonna do previously on. Because integrity matters today more than ever, because today a reporter has come to corrections, yes. The national news is finally waking up to the fact that something special is happening here. We showed this woodpecker. It was a story about a woodpecker in Massachusetts, and someone said, "The woodpecker shown was an acorn woodpecker, a lovely bird which lives in the American Southwest, not in Massachusetts. It would have been more accurate to show the much more common and larger pileated woodpecker." Just real quick, a woodpecker, a regular one, sounds like this. And then, I think we got it. And a woodpecker from Massachusetts sounds like this.
"Don't hide from me, you bugs."
We said this was a parent explaining to a toddler. Someone wrote in, "That is not a toddler. A toddler is 1 to 3. She is at least 5. Interesting fact, the van of the person who wrote that doesn't even have the driver's side window." "It is not winter," writes someone. "It is not winter because of how the Earth orbits around the sun!" Exclamation point. "It's because Earth's axial tilt angle, also known as obliquity, is currently about 23.44 degrees. This tilt is responsible for the changing seasons as it affects how sunlight is distributed across the planet throughout the year. The northern hemisphere experiences winter because its axial tilt positions it farther from the sun." That might be true. I just don't want to talk to my kids that much. We mentioned a duck and we showed this. I was told that was a goose. So just real quick, so we know in the future. Duck. Duck. Goose. Oh, I'm pressing because the reporter's here. I'm pressing. I'm pushing it. Oh, I'm on tilt, man. We had a joke about Lord of the Ring being filmed in Vancouver. I once again said Sauron. I said Sauron. Everybody told me it was Sauron. But this is, in Canada, he's Sauron. It's like sorry and sorry. He even says, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, is that your ring? Sauron. Someone else wrote, Lord of the Rings was not filmed in Canada. It was filmed in New Zealand. I think I would have heard something about that. So, I've talked about a lot of members of our staff, but I've never talked about old Murray. Murray is our show's head electrician, and he works in front of a big old circuit board, and you cannot believe this thing, and he is just integral to the show. Everything that uses power runs through old Murray, and he's been working here forever. He worked on the first Carson show that when this was called the RCA building. Murray was there, and he's just the sweetest guy. And I hardly never see him. He came into my office the other day. He goes, oh, boss, I done messed up. I go, what happened, Murray? He goes, I done messed up. I did no good. I did a big mistake. And I go, what happened? He goes, I got my coffee on the circuit board, and then a little rat ran across, and I went to move my coffee, and I knocked it over. When I knocked it over, I hit the switch. And I go, what? He goes, I hit the switch. And I go, oh, that doesn't sound bad. He goes, you don't understand. I flipped it from on to off. And I said, well, why did it even turn off? And he said, the comment section on the Blake Lively interview. And I said, I'm sure it'll be fine. He goes, I don't think you understand this story. We did, which I was happy to say, we did manage to save those comments and print them out. And it's going to be very cool. It's going to be available in the NBC store. We're going to print them out. It's going to be a book. And the book's called A Polite Discourse About the News of the Day. A real goof last week. I referred to Mike Witzer's mom, Andrea, who made us an incredible chocolate robo shoe, as his wife. Many of you rushed to the comments to correct me. That is true. Andrea Witzer is Mike Witzer's mom, not his wife. Mike doesn't have a wife, mainly due to the fact that his mom has set such a high standard. On all of Mike's dating profiles, the last thing it says is, must be able to make hyper-realistic edible chocolate art. That's just gonna rule out a lot of ladies. This is just, again, you guys sometimes get so close to making me feel good about myself. Here's a nice little 3-line exchange. Starts, Seth, I don't care what anybody says. You literally kept me sane during COVID, so I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Next person underneath it writes, why? What are people saying? And then the last person wrote, some people say he's not funny. I disagree with them, obs. So let's just walk it back to the first comment. Seth, I don't care what anybody says. You literally kept me sane during COVID, so I thank you from the bottom of my heart. So here's my edit. Seth, you literally kept me sane. And then you just leave out, I don't care what anybody says. Then we don't have to do our digging. All right. It's time for Guy and Dolls.
Chance, she is a fickle mistress this evening.
Last week, I said we had it as Guys and Dolls, even though I said Guy and Dolls, so we switched it because a lot of you complained, and I do feel like way better. All right. So a little somber today with Guy and Dolls because due to tariffs, I don't know if you've been following the news, the president's made very clear we're all going to have to cut back to $2. It's obviously very hard to hear, as our show famously has 3 dolls, Robo Shoe, Dennis Miller, and Bird Bane. So, you know, I want you guys to know this isn't going to be an easy decision. But we have to let one of you go. May I suggest you get rid of the Oscar Pistorius of Pelham? Or Casual Friday Birdman of Alcatraz? Dennis, you know I love your hyper-specific reference comedy. But I think this will go best if amongst yourselves, the 3 of you decide which one...
Whoa, take it easy, Chico.
Oh, dear God. Great. Dennis, are you okay? Oh, great. Now I'm the headless comic. Can't wait for my next gig at the Chuckle Hut in Sleepy Hollow. Bane, did you do this to him? Never! Robo Shoe, did you see anything?
Snitches. Get stitches.
Robo Shoe? If you want to be one of the dolls who stays, I am going to need you to tell me what you saw. Someone wrote in this comment, it's truly amazing how less and less relatable Seth has become over the years. What? I don't know if we're going to win an Emmy or not. But the article about this correction is going to win a Pulitzer. See you next week.